What's going on?
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding. From the words I spit, so sharp, so freezing. So cold, behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe in fate, don't believe in ceilings. I just need a taste and my mind starts feeling. I don't pace myself, I grind on kneeling. Got lust for change, I just love the feeling. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. Cause I'ma live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll still be winning. I live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll still be winning. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon.
Are you ready? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Dead Air Live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. It is our Sunday night show, and we are so thrilled to be here with you guys tonight. Sorry, we weren't here last week because it was Labor Day weekend, and Ken is away. We'll get into that a little bit later on, but joining us this week, very special guest host, and I'm so thrilled to have her, particularly for tonight. Please welcome Michelle Roos, and thank you for coming back to the show.
Absolutely, and thank you. I'm kind of excited to be the co-host this time and be asking some of the questions, but I'm actually excited for tonight. I think it is going to be some amazing conversation.
I think it's going to be a little bit scary, so I'll make sure that I have my security blanket next to me here.
And lots of cups of coffee.
we're going down the rabbit hole with Bill Bean, going to be joining us here in just a few seconds. But I wanted to say, again, thank you guys for being here with us and subscribing and watching. Those of you who are watching on KGRA, again, we are simulcast on KGRADB.com/Dead Air. Also on Twitter.com/Global Radio Live. You can catch us right here on YouTube if you're listening and want to be watching at Dead Air Nation. Also, if you want an opportunity to see who we are, our backgrounds, again, Facebook.com/Dead Air Full Spectrum. Catch us on our Twitter account, Dead_Spectrum. And don't forget, guys, always a welcome opportunity. And we'll be talking about this right after the top of the hour break. Our Patreon account, which a lot of our members you'll catch right there in chat tonight. Say hello to them. Ask them about our Patreon account. If you're not a Patreon member yet, ask what they think of it so far. We have a lot of fun, our Monday town hall. So we are so thrilled to do this with them every single Monday, tomorrow night, as a matter of fact. So looking forward to that. And also the same standard traditional things. You guys have been good about this, though, where I say, okay, please hit that subscribe button and the thumbs up and the reminder bell. And I say the thumbs up, and like last week, everybody started hitting the thumbs up. And we had a lot of people that were doing that. So, let's keep that tradition rolling. And just, what a thumbs up is, just below the screen. Just click on it with your mouse. We'd love to have you guys show your appreciation and your support. So thank you so much. But this is going to be a lot of fun tonight and excitement about it. And it's a little bit in your wheelhouse, isn't it, Michelle?
Yeah, just a little bit. But you got to remember, hello, Jonathan and Melissa and everyone. Yeah, and you got to remember, there's different perspectives of how we do things, and how we follow certain guidelines. But we're always at the very end doing the same thing. We're trying to help those in need. So I am kind of in, the am I going to learn something new? Because I love doing that. Or will I be saying something that might have him go,
Yeah. And I'll probably be saying something that makes him go, "Aw." Just a different perspective there, so to say the least. But I don't want to wait any further. I want to have this gentleman on with us on screen. Now, I have the bio, which I do need to read, and I hope I do it justice. But if I were going to just do a self-bio, I met this man at one of the multiple Paracons that I've attended and he's attended. There's an energy about him. There's a gentleness about him, and he is indeed a gentle giant, approachable, and just one of those people that really knows his stuff, what he is doing. And we have an opportunity to delve into that with him tonight, and I'm so looking forward to it. So let's move on with the intro. Bill Bean is a world-renowned exorcist, spiritual deliverance minister, and is known as a spiritual warrior. He has helped thousands of people all over America, including with many others in nearly 60 countries around the world. Bill Bean's spiritual warfare deliverance ministry addresses anything from curses, blocks, attachments, obsession, and oppression to possession by demonic spirits. He is also an internationally known author, lecturer, and spiritual or supernatural expert. Bill is currently appearing in episodes of A Haunting, Ghost Nation, and Fright Club, along with a 2019 episode of the Holzer Files. Bill was also featured in the Lifetime Movie Network series I Was Possessed. Bill regularly joins George Noory on Coast to Coast AM and has also appeared in 2 episodes of the George Noory TV series Beyond Belief. Bill is the star of House of the Dead and author of Dark Force, Delivered, 10 Steps to Victory, The Connection, Stranger Than Fiction, Dark Force Revisited, the 7th book, Stranger Than Fiction 2, Purge, Tales from an Exorcist, My Life, Transformation from Victim to Victor, and his newest book called Rise Above It. Bill also has a podcast every Friday night called Warrior Mode. He appeared on the Glenn Beck podcast Friday, August 14, 2020. Bean was featured in 6 articles in the UK's Daily Star newspaper as well. Bill also appeared in the 2010 sci-fi movie The Haunted Boy and has appeared in many TV shows about the paranormal supernatural. Bill Bean has given over 2,000 media interviews and has been covered in many news programs, books, magazines, and newspapers worldwide. That's our show, everybody. I appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
That's incredible.
That
Talk
is
about the ultimate resume. That is just amazing. We
yes,
are
it is.
thrilled to death to have him finally join us back on the show. It's been a while, but we are now back with our very good friend. Please welcome Bill Bean to the show. Hey. Oh, you're on. He's on mute right now, Bill. This is where we need to do the sound check prior to the show. And there's a possibility, Bill, that if you log off and log back in, it may reset it for you. But right now, you're not on mute, at least from your side, it doesn't show. So it's got to be a connection issue. Oh, speak again.
Can you hear me now? George, can you hear me okay now?
It's a little bit of a delay, but now we can pick you up on there. No, it's a little bit. That's better.
That's better now?
Yes.
Okay, so we've got it.
I think we've got it. I think we're there now.
I hope we got it now.
Go ahead.
How's that now, George? How's that?
We have a slight delay between video and audio. Slight delay between video and audio, but I think we can get around
how's that now, George?
Let me see.
Is this better now?
It's much closer, yes.
Okay, so I've gone into my settings here on the audio, and that's better. Is this one working better now?
No, the last one was better.
All right. This is back to the other setting. Is this working?
There's still a little bit of a delay on the setting, but we can work around that.
All right. What I'm going to do, or I can log
Perfect.
back out.
Whatever you
come
did
back.
right now where you're at, stay right where you're at. Now it's perfect.
Perfect.
Right
okay.
now.
Praise God. That's great.
We are
And
right on
thank you
there right
so
now.
much. Awesome. Praise God. Thank you so much for having me back. Hi, Michelle. It's great to be on with you as well. George, I apologize to you for you've wanted me back for a while, and it's just
It's
I
not
don't know
like
how
you're
to
doing
say it.
anything.
Everything is a blur. Yeah, everything is a blur. There are so many people in need more now than ever before, and it was difficult for me to get back here with you because I am. If I'm not traveling, then I'm immersed in sessions via Skype, Zoom, or phone. So it's like this never-ending journey because there are so many people suffering. I'm doing everything that I can do by the power of God working through me to help people, but it is just absolutely amazing the number of people that are suffering in some way these days.
What is the cause, or what is lacking on your side of that door? Are we just not supplying the amount of people, the amount of soldiers that we need when it comes to the afflictions that these people are dealing with?
Yes, and I'm sorry to say that, but and a lot of people come to me, not all, but a good number come to me that had gone to their priest or pastor and they were turned away and
Yes.
said, "What do you want me to do? I'm not trained in that. I can't help you. Go see a psychiatrist." And so, can you imagine? I mean, when you're having these types of problems, um, when a person suffers trauma, they don't open up to others so easily. You know, it's a divide and conquer tactic by the devil to keep the person isolated so they can really go to work on that person and wearing them down in mind, body, and spirit. So then when the person musters up enough courage to go to their pastor or priest and share this with them, and when they're rejected in that way, I mean, where do you go from there? And I'm just thankful that God has given me a platform to where people see me on TV or they hear me on a show like this, and then they say, okay, I have somebody that I can reach out to now. Praise God for that, because otherwise, I mean, their faith would be shattered and then they would be just spiritually destroyed because they would feel that there's no one out there that can help them or even believe them.
What's a more common avoidance in human nature, in society in general? Because I would think that people in a New York Minute, because you see it all the time on TVs and movies, people have their therapists. They go to their therapist and they unload their problems. But is there more of a hesitance for people to reach out to someone from a religious perspective, to go from, am I crazy or am I tortured and tormented right now? Which one is it? So do you have to sometimes go through that barrier first with a client where they're saying, I think I'm crazy, and then you got to go through a process of saying, no, you're not, and here's how we can help?
Yeah, it's happened that way many times over the years to where the person, they want to rationalize, hey, I want to rationalize everything as well. That's a very good thing to do. And so some of these people will go to some type of psychologist, therapist, psychiatrist, whatever it may be, to have an evaluation. And then, you know, some of those people share their supernatural experiences, and then they are quickly either rejected or sort of hushed in a sense that, again, the person in that position is their mindset is, I guess, they're trained in a different way. They are not all, but by and large, many in many of these cases, they are coming at it from a scientific medical approach. So it's very
Sure.
easy for some of these people to say, let me write you a prescription for this, and let's get you on this, and that'll take your problems away. And unfortunately, what it does, it makes the problems worse. And so then, and that's why I said I'm thankful that I've had such a large media platform, is a person will either hear me, or see me like right now, or on a TV show or whatever it may be. There have been people, one was a very prominent doctor, I'm not going to mention his name, but there were people, and have been people, that were on the brink of suicide, and they happened to be flipping through the TV channels and saw me on one of these shows, and then reached out, and then next thing you know, I'm on a plane flying to them, and God's working through me to help them. But I mean, that's how severe it can get, and that's the end game anyway. The devil, just as God, Yahweh, assigns angels to all of us, the devil assigns demons, and
Yes.
they look for openings. And when that door opens in some way, shape, or form, those demons will kick it in, and they'll come in, and then the agenda is to kill, rob, and destroy. And it is a game of wear down. So it is fear-based, trauma-based tactics. It is bully tactics. And the plan is to divide and conquer. And so when these people are under such a level of trauma and such great stress, as a result of it, they don't trust others so easily, especially if they've gone, like I said, to their pastor, priest, they were rejected. But if they went to a mental health professional first, and then seemed to only get the standard, let me write your prescription for this or that, no real solution to the problems, then, the person could feel absolutely just defeated and destroyed mentally, spiritually, and physically. So praise God that he called me to do this. I didn't choose to do this work. God called me to do it. And as a result of my family being destroyed by demonic forces, and I was nearly destroyed as well. I was physically attacked by demonic forces between ages 5 and 12. So I understand now that it was a necessary part of my journey. I could not be where I'm at right now and helping others had I not been there to suffer. Because when people suffer trauma, unless the person that's coming to help them has suffered in a similar way, there's no way to come together. I could be the most brilliant man in the world, but if I hadn't had the experience, there's no way that we could come together, because there's no way to form a trust and a bond. But in having had those experiences, and these people know that, then we can come together, a trust and a bond can form, and then God can really work through me to help that person be free.
And I want for Michelle to jump in here. I wanted to ask this one question, though, too, is, we talked about where those attacks and those breakdowns come from mentally, physically, and spiritually. But my big question is on the mentally, because that comes from socially, that comes from financially, bearing down on your ability to stay above water, to stay afloat. And I don't remember if on your first visit with us, we talked about some of the oppression situations I've been dealing with, and I don't want to continue to go over that. Most of the people who've watched this show know exactly what I'm talking about, especially our Patreon members. But it's one of those things where you're kind of playing psychologist to kind of re-empower your clients, those individuals.
Absolutely.
Because what your understanding of it is, or my understanding of it is that this battle doesn't end with one reading of a passage of the Bible. This is sometimes a lifetime battle, is it not?
You're absolutely right, George. And so there are those out there, and again, I'm not going to name names, but there are those out there who think that they can, and I've seen this in the churches, they're going to hit somebody on the head, or they're going to hit somebody on the head with the Bible, and they're going to pray some verses, and it's all over with, and you're done, you're free. That's a lie. This is a process. And even in my own journey, it was 2 steps forward and 3 steps backward, because when you have suffered these levels of trauma and you have that kind of stress on you, you are now the target, the victim is in the fear-based, trauma-based way of thinking and living. And that is a behavioral pattern, and that can become an addiction, just like a drug addiction,
Yes.
alcoholism, or whatever it is.
Yes.
You have to break those patterns, and it's a very, very difficult thing, but not impossible. So what I say to my clients is, and look, yes, I go in and God works through me to evict demons. Yes, it's true. But before it gets to that point, I have to sit down and be the psychologist, then the doctor or whatever, and we have to talk, and I have to get all their deepest and darkest stuff to come up so we can pop every link of every chain, and then I can engage those demonic forces in spiritual warfare. It's all about breaking the legal rights. But all life operates on frequency and vibration. I believe that Yahweh spoke the world into existence by his voice. And if that is true, then all life operates on that principle, frequency and vibration. So if we are on high frequency, high vibration, life is good, life is positive, we're moving forward. That doesn't mean we have a perfect life. We all have a set of issues and challenges. But for the person that is on low frequency, low vibration, and I've been there, I understand it. Life sucks. It's like the black cloud is over the person's head. Nothing ever goes right. There's always a problem, an issue, a drama, a situation, and never an answer. And so it is my job, not only by the power of God working through me, to evict those demonic forces, but I have to rebuild this person by the power of God working through me to get them back on high frequency, high vibration, and get them to understand that there is a better way and that they don't deserve to suffer like that. They don't have to suffer like that anymore. Let's go into the uncharted territory, which is the better way, what I call warrior mode, walking in that level of faith, strength, and courage. So it is very much a process. So the first thing that I do when I enter into a residence or a business or even a church, because you'd be surprised at how many churches have flown me in because the pastor was under spiritual attack, his family, to the point of some ready to commit suicide, seeing demonic entities in the church, you just wouldn't believe it. But what I have to do, the first thing is come in, I say a land blessing as I'm approaching. Then once I come into the residence, I say several more prayers, including a house blessing. And then I anoint everybody's heads with a combination of holy water, holy oil, holy salt, frankincense. And then we sit down, and that's where I put on the counselor hat, and we have to talk and talk and talk. And I have been in cases to where it took over 5 hours for the person to tell me everything. And it's an amazing process and exhausting as well, but amazing in the sense that you can feel the more that they share, the more or the less the grip of the devil, his grip is lessening more and more. And then once we get to the root of everything, which in not all cases, but in many of the cases, there have been some type of horrific event that took place, a very traumatic event, whether that be child molestation, rape, some type of violent crime, something. And yes, there are those that were summoning through a Ouija board or ritual invocation, yes. But by and large, it is trauma-based. And it usually starts in childhood around the ages of 4 and 5. And so something really bad happens there, and it stays with the person throughout their lifetime until an agent of God comes along by the power of God working through them to evict those demonic forces. So it is very much a process. And even after the exorcism, spiritual deliverance is over with, then I have to go through the entire home or whatever that building is, making sure that there are no demons hiding or lurking in there. And I could tell you right now, I've come face to face several times, and one occasion in particular, I believe was in 2014, after a successful exorcism, and I'm going through the entire home, I came within 6 to 10 feet of a 7-foot tall entity that was in like a black hooded cloak, glowing red eyes. It had points, looked like wings were folded in, points were sticking above the shoulders, and it was standing in between a window. And this is a large home. I'd gone through the entire home, and the last part of the home was the upstairs part of the home, which was an attic space that had been converted into a master bedroom. I go up the wide set of steps. On my to my right is a lamp, so that's the area is illuminated over there. I go over and bless that area. I don't see or feel anything. Then I have to go across the room, and across the room was dark. No lights over there. There was a double window, no draperies or curtains or anything like that. And the moonlight was coming through that window. And in between that window and a ventilation shaft, when I got over there, I was standing directly in front of that entity, between 6 to 10 feet, probably closer to 6 feet, to this thing. And I had a Bible in my left hand. I had my holy mixture in my right hand. Now, I want you guys to think about this, because a lot of people would faint, they'd turn around, they'd run, they'd just drop. I mean, it was only by the power of God working through me that I could stand there in front of this entity, remain in control, have no fear, and take power and authority over it. And I said, by the mighty power of Yahweh and his mighty and holy name, in Yahshua Jesus the Christ's name, I bind and rebuke you and cast you out and command you to depart. And I slung the mixture at it, and that entity let out a screech like I have never heard before or since. It was so loud it rattled the windows before it departed. And that's just one of many examples that I could give you. So after all that is over with, after I make sure that there are no more demons hiding or lurking in the home, then I have to go back and sit down with the client or family again and put a game plan together for that person or family's life in moving forward. So it is very much a process. It's not like you see on some of these things where you walk in and you touch somebody on the head and they're instantly, and everything is instantly. It's not that way.
No. It's almost, it's a lousy metaphor, but it's very, very accurate. It's like calling in an exterminator, and after the exterminator's done spraying and killing the bugs, clean your house. Because if you don't clean your house, they're going to come back.
Seven times worse.
Seven times worse. So
sorry. So Bill, like when you're doing this, and I've been in those situations, and like you came face to face with that entity.
Yeah.
For that entity to continue to stay there, did you ever look at it as there was still that break in that family, that even though you've done everything you can, it's still lurking because it knows it still could come on back in, because that complete healing that you're trying to build them back up still had that crevices for it to still sneak in? Has that ever come across for you to do that when you're working with some of these people?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, many times that's happened where there have been so many success stories to where the person or family never had a problem again after that, praise God. But there have also been the stories and occasions to where I've gone back 3, 4, 5 times because it's a very difficult transition to make. So you can either, and this is where free will comes in, the power of the mind to say, I don't want this life anymore. And I don't want these things in my life anymore. And I don't want them in my home anymore. So I'm going to step into the uncharted territory of faith. It's like jumping into a pool of cold water. It's the unknown. You don't know it because you're so used to being in the fear-based, trauma-based. And even though that's the bad place, that's the familiar place. And some people want to stay there because it's a familiar place. And that will give the devil legal right for those entities to come back in.
Well, and I know I've worked on some cases and stuff like that too. And, it's euphoric because, you went to help them and they feel, that energy, like you said, the vibrations moving up and stuff like that. But again, it's almost like a drug. It's got them really high right now. And then, afterwards, the fix is done, and then they catch themselves back in that lower thing. And I've had to work with families like years upon years.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of one of those things that, it's harder for us to look in the mirror and say we love ourselves, but we can tell millions of people we love them. And does it become kind of almost like a drug habit, where, okay, I'm just going to let this happen again because I'm always going to have that fix? Do you get a lot of those people that call back and it becomes like that kind of drug habit for them?
Some, not a whole lot, but some, yes. And then some see me also as the in which I tell them, don't do this. I mean, I get messages from people saying, you're my hero. I want to do what you do, or you are my rock. But I say, look, no. Give all the praise and thanks to God. He's the one to praise and thank. He is working through me. I'm just a man. I am nothing more. That you would never, ever hear me say that I'm some type of special one or whatever. I'm just a vessel that he works through. So we have to have balance. That's number one. And people feel comforted knowing that they could contact me if they're having a problem again. And I try to be there for everybody always. But another thing that I do is in the course of the second round of going back to make sure that the house is anointed and cleared, I also will say, by the mighty power of Yahweh and his mighty and holy name, in Yahshua Jesus the Christ's name, I declare that every portal above the home, below the home, to the sides of the home, and inside of the home are closed, shut, locked, chained, and padlocked to the devil and his minions from this moment forward. Now, yes, I do believe that those portals will close, but at the same time, new portals can open. And so herein lies a challenge. So I give these people information, very powerful prayers to say every single day. I tell them you must be consistent in your relationship with God. If you're truly making him first and keeping him first, and you invoke his power over your life every day, you're not going to have these problems anymore. It is a matter of stepping out of the fear-based, trauma-based way and those behavioral patterns and breaking that for what I call warrior mode, which is walking in faith, strength, and courage. So it's easier said than done, certainly not impossible, but I have found many times when people finally were able to break those patterns and embrace warrior mode, their lives instantly changed for the better, and they didn't have any more of that garbage going on.
Yeah. And like I said, I've worked some cases, it was like, no matter what you brought in, what kind of love, God, and everything like that, they wanted to have that done. And as you're fighting this, and you're fighting with them, getting them to move those next steps, I've seen is a lot harder for people. And it seems like
Yes.
It's getting worse, and it's kind of like, okay, where have we stopped, where we stopped loving ourselves? And trying to help build that, because we have to love ourselves to open up, to bring God into with us. We're his vessels.
Yeah.
We have to open up to accept that. But people are, it's harder and harder for them to do it. And I've noticed as I'm kind of doing the work, just, talking with people, it has become a very dark place. It's almost like we've got this gloom just over everyone. And it's like people are drowning in it. And
because you come to accept it, Michelle. I know I was one of those people. I lived that way for so long that I was not going to take pills or slit my wrist. But let me tell you, I grew up on the streets. I had to quit school in the 8th grade, lied about my age, went to work for a construction company. This was after the deaths. Within 2 months and 2 days, the two closest people to me in my life were suddenly gone. My mother and my grandmother died within 2 months and 2 days of each other. Then I had to quit school, went to work at a construction company. Here I was, a traumatized, skinny kid, suddenly thrown into a world with some really rough and tough guys. That made me a rough and tough guy. And I grew up on the streets. I drank, I used drugs, I was violent. Most of the people that I hung out with are dead or in prison. I could have very easily have been there myself. but God saved me through it all. But one day I had an epiphany, and I was in so much pain for so long. I didn't want to live, to be honest with you. I lived my life on the edge. I was seeking a way for death. I was welcoming death. And one day I had an epiphany that I could do better and be better. And that's when I spoke to God and said, if you can help me, if you will help me, out of this, then I will serve you. I'll make you first. And it was amazing. Instantaneously, I felt his presence. I immediately stopped drinking and using drugs. It was like a switch had been turned on, because I think God knew I was sincere. That was it. I never used drugs or drank ever again after that. But it was a process, 2 steps forward, 3 steps backward, because of the bad behavioral patterns that I developed, coming from fear-based, trauma-based ways, and then coming from a place of frustration, exasperation, and expecting things to go bad. As a matter of fact, I can remember waking up some days saying, oh, this day is really going to suck. And guess what? It did, because I broke that into my life. And it, took me a long time to break those patterns and then figure it out, what it was all about and how the devil works and how he keeps people bound up like that. So it is very much, the hopelessness aspect of it is very much a part of the devil's plan.
Oh, yeah.
To continuously drag that person back. He doesn't want us moving forward. He wants to drag us back.
Yeah. So with you doing this work, especially because of what you were already down in the depths of hell, and then you have risen, and you are now doing the work. And were you also able to get like the sight of knowing, like you said, you've seen the entity? Is this something you see on a regular basis, or was it just that moment?
Oh no, it's happened many times. Why? Again, I grew up being physically attacked by demonic forces between ages 5 and 12. And that entailed seeing manifestations as well of demonic entities. Matter of fact, I'd seen a similar looking hooded entity many times throughout my childhood and even teen years, going into my adult years. So that was a familiar character to me. I don't know if it was the same entity, but it looked like what I'd already seen many times. But yes, I had gone through all that, seen those things. Now I'm happy to tell you that in my personal life, I do see angels. I have seen angels in full form. Angels have hugged me. I've seen white balls of light, Arctic colored blue balls of light. These are all angelic forces, and I see them on a regular basis. So again, I don't claim to be anything special, but God gives me a knowing of things. And sometimes, even before I walk into the house, he's already put a picture in my mind, how many demons are there, who the target is. It is just a knowing of things, and it's part of my spiritual discernment that he has blessed me with. So where I said to you guys earlier, I had to quit school in the 8th grade. God has blessed me with wisdom and knowledge far beyond anything that I could ever imagine in my life. It took work on my part too. I engaged in some serious studies for many years, biblical studies, historical studies, you name it. So I had to do my part, but God really helped me to overcome the challenges of having a lack of education, and then also those terrible behavioral patterns of growing up in not only trauma, but then, on the streets with I hung out. Now, look, I had some good friends that were not that way, but I also had friends that were arch criminals that, again, they're either dead or they're in prison now. So I praise God I've been in many life-threatening situations throughout my lifetime, not only back then, but also as this spiritual warrior, going into the homes of people that handed me their guns. They said, I want to shoot you right now. People trying to stab me and slash me and bite me and physically attack me, spit on me, projectile vomiting, you name it. I've experienced it all. And God has kept me safe throughout the entire, whatever it was, however bad it was, and whatever life-threatening incident it was. God kept me safe through all of it and helped me to remain in control. That's the most astounding thing.
Yeah.
Is not only, not only was I being faced with these types of serious life-threatening things, but maintaining the level of control over the situation to even protect the person that those demonic entities were working through to try and hurt me. The power of God was stronger in helping me to control them, to keep them from getting physically injured as well.
So when you have gone to some of these families, because we think about it, religion is dying. Religion is dying, and at a, a crazy pace. I mean, when things on YouTube, people are paying because some guy is saying, I have heard it on here, I believe, pushing demons into people because they want to feel powerful.
Yeah.
We start talking about, like you said, that mental state to real oppression before, all that. Have you been to a lot of cases when you're going in there and straight up, there's no demons part of this. This is something totally different. And if you have, how do you handle that kind of a situation?
Well, I still pray for the person just the same. Look, I've been in situations to where the person had schizophrenia or some type of mental condition, or a person was actually fabricating to get on TV, to try and latch on to me to get on the TV.
Yeah.
And so through it all, I just pray for the people. There's one case that I could think of now. There's several, but one that stands out more, I guess. The family, no, there's a couple right now. They're coming to mind. The family, they actually had some type of supernatural situation taking place, but I do believe it was through invocation because they wanted so desperately to be on TV. So then they wanted to try and get me, in on it and seeing me as a way for them to get, because I had a very close relationship with New Dominion Pictures, the haunting people. And they featured a lot of my case files on their series. And so people were, there were some that were trying to get to me so they thought they could get their story on a haunting. And I actually went to a haunting on one occasion and said, look, this is now, there may have been something real in the beginning, but now these people are charging ghost hunter groups to come in and investigate their house and all this. I said, look, I'm not endorsing these people. I'm not going to be a part of this. So, and I hate to do that because, I love people and I would do anything to help anybody, but I'm not going to be anybody's fool either.
Absolutely.
And then, so yes, there have been times to where I had to say, look, no, I'm not going to be a part of this.
And I've noticed that is becoming more of a trend. And
It
is coming more of a trend. And just like you said, you go in, I go in, with my own beliefs, what protects me and stuff. And I call on the angels and I call on the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's becoming one of those dangerous situations because there are so many people out there that are suffering.
Yeah.
And you're kind of trying to navigate through those. And of course, if you're not fixing their quick need, it's like, they come after you too. And I've seen that start spreading more and more. Are you seeing about the same type of trend in what you're doing also?
Yeah. Again, people are suffering in so many different ways.
Oh, yeah.
And then when you throw in the economic aspects of, the way the economy is right now, people are suffering financially. Oh, yeah. And usually when you mix something like that with a person that's already had previous traumas and now they're under a great financial hardship or strain, that's all that is needed to trigger those demonic entities that are still attached to that person, activate them into something that now can become a spiritual attack.
I am seeing more calls of people needing help with children. I'm seeing it right during the times of puberty. and it's
Hmm.
gotten really bad. Are you getting more calls of younger adults of like that, just really starting to get into it?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have. And that's the worst part of the whole thing for me is seeing a child suffer and seeing a
Yes.
child attacked. And um, I could tell you the worst sufferings that I've ever seen, and I've been involved in probably in the low thousands of cases now, but the worst sufferings that I have seen have been the sufferings of children like that. And it's heartbreaking. Um, I guess when I think back of the people that have suffered the most throughout my lifetime and career, I think of my mother first. She suffered more than any other person I've ever seen suffer in my life, and that includes any case that I've ever been involved in. And then there's a couple others that come to mind in my career um, that have had these horrific type of sufferings as well, and children are a part of that. It just boils my blood. I
Yes.
want to protect everybody. I love everybody, and I would do anything by the power of God working through me to protect a person, especially a child.
I've been seeing it more often too. And then it's like the family goes on attack, because
Yeah.
then now they're blaming God. Why would he
Yes.
let this as a child? And so trying to break that barrier to, get to the root, cause that it is, it's become very difficult. It's very strenuous on yourself. And you're now trying to, you're defending God and you're defending everything else, but the child never said, "Here, come take me." It's just, I think the way things are nowadays, it's really stressful to be a child, and we don't know what they're getting in because they try everything. So I've had some
There are
cases like
so
that.
many
Ooh,
there are
yeah,
so many
yep,
openings now, and I feel that. And look, I could speculate all day long. I just talked about this on my show Friday night, that this goes for anybody. We can sit here all day long and say, oh, this is how it all started and this and that. Well, unless you were there to see it, then you don't know nothing. And I don't know nothing either. As
me
far
neither.
So it's all speculation. And, but my, I guess, speculation on this whole deal would be, without truly being there, and God never told me this, so it would be purely speculation on my part, my opinion. I believe that God, Yahweh, is allowing the devil to have this short time. It sure seems like it anyway, to
Yep.
sort of have cornered the entire market. He's got everything cornered, and whether that's religion, politics, the entertainment industry, professional sports, he's got the whole market cornered. And so there's this all out assault now,
Yes.
especially on people in America,
Yes.
and the children as well. So they want to get the child while they're in those formative years to be given over to accepting anything and everything. So it always comes back to Isaiah 5:20. What are those who call evil good and good evil? That's where we are now. So
Yes.
the person that speaks up and stands up for good and right is vilified, and the ones that embrace all the evil and promote that, they are the ones that are lifted up. And so this is why, in my opinion, the world is the way it is, especially in America. It is all inverted. It's upside down and backwards, and that is in the
I have
order
said
of the
that.
devil.
Yep, I feel like it's upside down because the saying always went, the Lord always told the devil, you might toy around with the humans and throw them around like rag dolls, but you never have their soul
Yeah,
unless they give it to you. And right now, everybody's getting tossed around like rag dolls.
it's true.
And it's so easy for us just to throw this religion away. And it's like, but I think it needs to be brought back because we took it out of everything, and you can be spiritual and everything else, you can also bring all others in. But I feel until we start kind of compartmentalizing everything and putting it back in place, because the puzzle has been tossed off the table, I think we're going to be very busy.
It's true. It's
Very busy.
absolutely true. And so I hate to say this, And there are still some good churches out there. I'm not condemning all the churches, but by and large, many of today's churches have become dens of iniquities, and
Yes.
they operate as a corporate entity. So it is all about getting people in the seats because they want to get their money and they want to entertain them. They want to be a clown. They want to be a comedian, and not spiritually feed the people or prepare them for any type of spiritual warfare whatsoever. It's all about being an entertainer. And what happens is a lot of these people, they go in and they start to worship that pastor. And so now they're no longer giving praise and worship to our glorious God. They're giving praise and worship to the pastor. And when that happens, that's how cults can begin, because
Correct.
now you're emotionally investing in someone to the point to where you can be under their control.
False gods.
Yeah,
False
it's
gods.
true.
And yes, it's so true. And like I've always said it, I don't need to go into a church to speak to God. He's going to listen to me
It's
and
all
probably
right
shake.
here.
He'll probably shake his head and go, "Not you again." But but the thing is,
No, he loves
the
you.
only church that will ever be open doors, that would be a true church, would be what's up in heaven when you meet your maker. And that's
Yeah.
something that's always believed in. And again, propaganda is the worst thing out there. That's what started wars. It started wars way back in the day. I mean, propaganda, again, man written, money driven, power driven. And I think a lot of people, we need to take the word religion out of the perspective of it, because loving God or loving angels or anything is not a religion. It's just something we do as humans.
It's
And
a
that's
way of life.
a
Yeah.
way
I
of-
mean, it's
You- it-
automatic for me. He
Yeah.
is first in my life and will always be first in my life. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. Do I
Me
claim to be?
neither.
No way.
Nope.
But I'm real and authentic, and I try to do the best that I can do, and I try to be the best that I can be each and every day. And one thing is consistent in my life, and that is my worship and my service to the creator of the universe, Yahweh Elohim. And that is consistent no matter whether I'm traveling, no matter whether I've not had sleep in 24 hours, sometimes
Yeah.
48 hours. It doesn't matter. I am consistent in my relationship with God. So that's what I try to stress to my clients as well, is developing that level of consistency. And that will become a behavioral pattern. That's something that you want. That's a behavioral pattern that you never want to break.
Yeah, but that's
Another
the
thing-
point,
I'm
Bill.
sorry,
That,
George, go ahead.
that's the point that I think a lot of people need to really hear. So when you are in that worship mentality, which again is a good portion of your day, of your life,
Yeah.
do you have to go, geez, I got to go to this church, or I'm on my tour right now, I got to find this church and go there before I start doing that? That's
Nope.
not the fact of the matter, is it?
The
No.
church is right here. And
Thank you.
so the first thing that I do every day, and I don't get to bed, I get to bed at 7 a.m. or later
Yeah,
every morning.
That's when I get messages
That's when
from
I get
you
to bed.
3 in
Yeah.
the morning.
Yeah. I'm up all night because if I'm not traveling, then I could be having a session with someone in Australia or New Zealand or
Yeah.
India, somewhere, Switzerland, you name it. So I'm up all hours of the night, and no matter how tired I am, before I go to sleep, I say spiritual warfare prayer. I declare victory. I declare victory in each and every day of my life, and will do so for the rest of my life. I refuse to lose. If God's with me and for me, nothing or no one is going to stand against me. So I declare victory in each and every day. Then when I go to sleep, I pray again, and I visualize 8 giant warrior angels surrounding my bed as I sleep, and I have good and peaceful sleep. And then when I wake up, the first thing that I do is I thank him and praise him for the day. Life is the greatest gift that he ever gave to us, and it is not promised for tomorrow. We are not promised tomorrow, so we should thank him and praise him for each and every day of the life that he gives us.
And see, and I think that's a lot of things, because you hear a lot of people say, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. And I think they have trouble. It's kind of the same. Religious is just a word. It doesn't have that compassion. It doesn't have that component. And I think this is where a lot of people are swaying. There's a lot of people that believe in all sorts of gods. There's people, that have both sides that they balance because that's how they're able to do it. I mean, is there something that you would think of that would be like, this is a way to start bringing people back together? People with abilities, there's more people awakening up, starting to see more things, so there's something behind it making this happen. How do you, when you're speaking like on your show and stuff, how do you explain that to people to take words out like religion and the spiritual to show as one?
Well, they hear me say that every week. And so that Warrior Mode broadcast is really a church service. That's my church and it's their church. And so I spiritually feed them by the power of God working through me every single week. So we're consistent in our worship every week as well. So it's very much like a church service. I offer spiritual deliverance during the broadcast for any and all that want it. I also share with people that the devil is really having a belly laugh over the division in so-called Christianity. There are a lot of people that would call themselves Christian. There's a lot of churches that I've gone to and a lot of pastors and priests that I've helped by the power of God working through me. But there's also churches out there that would never have me to their church. They would never have me to come in. They don't want to hear what I have to say because it would upset their apple cart. So there are 34,000 different Christian denominations in the world, 1,200 in the United States. The devil loves that because everybody's got a version of. I have heard Catholics condemn Pentecostals to hell, Pentecostals to Catholics, Baptists to Catholics, Catholics to Baptists. They're all hellbound. If you don't believe the way I believe, you're hellbound. And it is madness. The devil has a belly laugh at it. And it is a way, again, to divide and conquer. So Christians can't even stand together as worshipers because they are divided by doctrines and interpretations of doctrines. Therefore, you are always going to be this way. So I tell people, I'm not even so sure I call myself a Christian. I am a child of the Most High God. I am a humble servant and fierce warrior for him. I can never thank him and praise him enough for everything that he has done and for everything that he's doing for me and for the things that he's going to do. But when it comes to, so I call myself non-denomination because I don't follow any man and I don't follow any of those doctrines either. I love people. I do the best that I can do by the power of God working through me to be a help and a blessing to anybody that comes into my path. That is my agenda. That is my MO daily. But if it comes down to choosing a denomination or this is a, I don't want any of it. No thanks, because it's all invalid to me.
Oh, God. Bill Bean is our very special guest tonight. Michelle Roos, our guest host tonight. We are going to take our break right now. We have questions on the other side, and we want you guys to stay with us. Stick around. We'll be back on the other side of the break. You're watching Dead Air Live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected. Only at KGRADB.com.
And again, a very big, huge thank you to all of our Patreon members who join us each and every week on Mondays for Town Hall. You can also check out the Patreon account. It's $3 membership. You can do a free membership and get a little bits and pieces of what it is that we have there, but you guys can certainly check it out. And there's a lot of material which you can find in there, including, again, as I said, tutorials, some education, some clips, investigations that we've done. There's a whole lot that's on there. Make sure you guys do check it out. Before we bring up Bill Bean back on board as well, we have a very special guest host tonight, Michelle Roos, joining us. And you've got a few upcoming things that I wanted to get into with you. Number one is the closest upcoming event that you're going to be doing, and that is at Broadhead Manor on September 14th. Tell everybody about that.
Actually, Dave Childers will be coming from the East Coast down to the Midwest.
Sure.
This place is so phenomenal. I went there one time and I'm like, we always look at schoolhouses like, okay, it was a schoolhouse. But as we got in there and start unraveling some of the, history and the different layers it had, it's been one of the most active places I've been to in a very long time. And so we're having an event there, September 14th. We've got, just a couple of tickets left. We're pretty much almost sold out. But it is an amazing place. The owners are great. And I'm excited to kind of show, folks from the East Coast that the Midwest can be pretty haunting.
Now you've got you've got an amazing upcoming trip as well, as you are going to Ireland.
I know. I can't wait.
So jealous.
Join us. Secret Ireland Tours. I love this company. Makes it so affordable for people. But this is just more on, again, we're talking spiritual, metaphysical, paranormal. It's a little bit of everything, but also it's going to be very historical too, because we're going to the older parts of Ireland. Secret Ireland Tours is on here. Come on. But I love the concept of, traditional music, the hotels. It's not going to be, hey, we're just staying at the Holiday Inn Express. So very excited. That tour we don't have that many tickets left on that one either. So she makes it so easy. A small deposit and you can make monthly payments until the tour. And that is in September of 2025. Okay.
Now, the one that you're doing on the 14th, that's on your website, Riverside Iowa Paranormal. Is the second one, the trip to Ireland, also on the website?
So if you go into more, over there on the little clicky thing, you go to the more, and then I think it's like on different links down on the bottom.
Store links,
I believe so, isn't it? And these are some of the places we've been, some of the things. But if you go on our website, the tour's on the website too. There you go. There it is. So this is where we got the links. It tells you about the tour, what you can do. It's amazing.
So Facebook.com/Secret Ireland Tours.
Yes.
So you make sure you guys do check that out. And finally, one more very interesting thing. And I can tell you this, Michelle, this has been discussed for probably 15 to 18 years, never became a reality. Finally, it's happening. Tell everybody about what's happening in 2025.
Oh my gosh. So my daughter, Brittany, a proud veteran, of course, close to her heart. She's always wanted to do something to give back to, stop soldier suicides. So she started working with Monique too soon, when a lot of people know her, and came up with a calendar. So
God bless.
these beautiful women you're seeing on this calendar are what I call, excuse my French, but badass in the paranormal. They're beautiful inside and out. And all the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds will come out in 2025, will go to stop soldier suicide. And I think this is an amazing cause, and more details are coming out. We just want to get people all excited. It'll be ready. We'll have QR codes. People can scan it, boom, get it, and help a great cause.
Fantastic. Keep it busy. I'm so proud of you. That is fantastic.
Thank you.
And again, you guys just follow Michelle Roos on Facebook and get all of the updates for everything surrounding her events and some of these other wonderful things that she's contributing to. Time to bring our very special guest back on with us. God, which hat do I give him a title to? Exorcist, lecturer, author.
Great.
Bill Bean, welcome back for our second hour, sir. I appreciate you.
Thank you, my brother. Yeah, it just all becomes a blur after a while. It really does. And the only time very seldom are there times of reflection, and I guess it's during these types of times. And I don't even do very many interviews anymore. I mean, there were times where I was doing 4 and 5 interviews a day. I might do 2 or 3 interviews a month now, if that, because I'm so busy helping people. So again, I apologize to you, George, because there have been times in the past, before this time, that I wanted to come back on with you, but I just couldn't.
I tell you, Ben Hansen, I'm sure you know who Ben is.
Yeah.
I think you guys are about the same height, 7'9", but
No.
I remember talking to you at I think it was Gettysburg, and you put a crick in the neck talking to this guy. But Ben Hansen, same thing. We had a longest time was struggling to get him on board. Schedule conflicts. He's very busy, such as you are, and so as soon as we had him on the air, I sent him a message. Now booking for summer 2025.
It makes sense. It really does.
And he said, "I don't know what I'm going to be doing." I said, "Okay." Not a problem whatsoever.
It just seemed to be impossible there for a while because, again, if I'm not traveling, I am doing session after session via phone, Skype, Zoom, whatever it is, with people that are in need. So that was the dilemma, Michelle, with me coming back on with George prior to this. Is just I just didn't have nothing was clear for Sunday nights, to the point where I was said to him, well, maybe we could pre-record or something.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it worked out here and there.
Well, I'm excited, and thank you for being a co-host tonight, especially with Bill here. I love the conversation. It's kind of like on my level, and he gets to answer all the questions. But and you think about it though, you are busy at this, you are having to talk to lots of people. You're hearing stories hour after hour and things. And when I go to work with the churches to help on this stuff, it absorbs your time. You don't even know what time it is, what day it is when you're really starting on a case. And it seems like when you start that first case, they all just start compiling in, and it's like
just a blur.
Yep, absolutely.
But I'm thankful. I'll tell you, I could go and do other things, and I have prior to this, but there's nothing else that God would have me to do. This is what he has called me to do. I did not choose this. He chose me for it. And so it's the greatest thing when I know that he's actually worked through me to help someone, to help them to be free from evil, to help them to change their life and to move forward and have a very good and very blessed life.
I tell you what, I want to get to these questions from our chat as soon as possible, because again, I've got a bunch of questions. I know that Michelle does too. By the way, Michelle was like really, really nervous. She's like, I don't know how this is going to go, with us. I said, perfect. It comes natural. It comes natural if you just enjoy the topic and the guest you can't miss. So I'm thrilled with
It's
that.
we have high frequency and high vibration here. Everything is good. Everything is
That's it.
blessed.
Yes.
So it flows perfectly.
Well, the only thing I have to apologize for is my chair sinking throughout the show. I got to replace it, but it has no straight up. It just sinks back.
I've
So-
had some of those chairs as well. I can relate. Yeah.
Michelle, give you the honors of reading off these questions for Bill. Here's the first one for you.
Do you charge folks for your services?
I do, and I'll tell you why. And now this is sort of a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
I started out not charging anybody, and I'm traveling all over the country on my dime. And then all of a sudden I'm in bad financial straits because nobody's going to pay my bills.
Correct.
Nobody. This is my full-time job. So I do charge for my services. But that said, I don't turn people away either. So I've helped probably as many or more for free than I have charged for my services. So if I were independently wealthy, I wouldn't charge anybody a dime. But that's not the case. This is my full-time job, and this is how I pay my bills. I'm thankful to God that I'm able to do what he has called me to do. Yet at the same time, to be able to maintain and pay my bills. And I'm not getting rich off of anybody. I'm spiritually rich, but I'm not a millionaire. And I'm thankful that I'm able to meet my bills and to be able to move forward in that way.
And
And
again,
you gotta remember, you're giving your service, not just the
Yes.
service itself, but your energy and your love that's coming out. You know, it actually has a value to it. And a lot of people don't realize that there is a value that comes with it.
It's
And
true.
and you know, Bill is that value. And so, yeah, I totally understand that 100%.
I've had people there have been people that have made videos about me. This guy charges and this and that. And I say to a person like that, okay, well, you can make all the videos you want, but I want to see you go out. And so just to pay for the flight,
Yeah.
hotel, rent a car, your meals,
And hotels.
all of it. So I'd like to see that person do that on a consistent basis, and let's see how quickly you're in financial dire straits, and then you might say, oh, okay, I get this now.
and your time. If you're doing
Correct.
this, you can't be doing a regular 9 to 5, or you just
No
can't.
way, George. No way. It's
And-
not possible.
And I know it's a horrible, horrible example, but again, talking about it, you call an exterminator. Guess what? You're paying.
Or even
Absolutely.
a doctor. If you think that you're going to go to
Psychiatrist.
the doctor for free, or psychiatrist or psychologist, or you're psychic, or you think they're just going to do everything for free. It's not going to happen that way. That said, again, I don't turn people away. So if a person says to me, I'm broke, I don't have the money, I help them anyway. So it all balances out. So I do everything that I can. And I'm thankful that I have people that can meet the fee. So that helps me to be able to pay my bills and maintain my life.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, I could give to people that don't have the money and help them for free. So it all works out. God always makes a way.
And see, that's what I do. Like George, you just showed on the website, I do events. And the money that comes from those events, I put into a fund that we can use so I can help those. Because like
That's
he said,
wonderful.
so it's the same different concepts of how to try to do it. So like I always tell people, when you buy a ticket to one of my events, you're actually paying it forward to somebody who will need it later on.
Right,
And there are so many people out there that can't afford it. They are down and out. They are
Yep.
broke. They are in dire
Oh,
straits.
I know. I've been
Yep.
some doozies. Ooh.
And so what do? You're not going to say, oh, well, sorry, go find somebody
Yeah,
else.
you're broke.
Yeah, you
Like,
can't
whatever.
do that.
Yeah.
And I won't do that. So, God always has a way of balancing it all out. And the main thing is to make sure that these people are getting help.
Yeah, absolutely.
You almost wish that there was some sort of a policy for religious insurance or
Right.
possession insurance where you make payments because, as Bill was saying too, this is not a one-time visit, one and done.
Mm-mm.
So if you're going to have these reoccurring visits from somebody such as Bill, it behooves you to have that kind of backing in advance. But nobody knows when or where this oppression, this possession is going to happen.
That's
So
correct.
it's very hard to make that prediction. Next question for you, Michelle, if you read, please.
It is written, if you take the mark of the beast, you will be punished.
Is that true?
Well, biblically, it's written that if you take the mark of the beast, that you're cut off from God. Now, that is entirely up to him because he is the judge. He is the one that would make the determination. I would have to believe, and I am not God, and I'm not speaking for God, but I would have to believe, in my own opinion, that if a person took the mark and didn't realize what they had done, and there certainly was no intent on their part, if they were coerced, if they were tricked into it or whatever, then I would have to believe that our loving God would have mercy on that person and not cut them off. I would have to believe that.
Okay. Here's the next one from Joseph. And Joseph let me know that he meant the word misunderstood, Michelle.
Okay. Okay, Bill, this question's for you. What do you
Okay.
feel is one of the most misunderstood things when it comes to the demonic?
Well, I guess the most misunderstood thing, and I've had cases like this to where people, I've had many cases like this, to where people feel that they can sort of sell their souls and then be in union with the devil and his demons. I've had people that were summoning demons to do their bidding, and they thought that it was going great until it wasn't. And then they started getting physically attacked by the demons that they were summoning to do their bidding. And I've had others that called on demons and wanted to sell their soul and supposedly did sell their soul. And same thing, they started getting attacked. And I could think of one person who was actually biting chunks of flesh out of their arms and legs, and then withering around on the floor like a snake, completely taken over. But it was unfortunately due to the despair of the individual. Some were bullied, some were molested, and were angry with God. And so they decided to call on the devil, and the devil answered, and they felt like they had a measure of power. And that only lasts for a little while because the devil will use and abuse and then throw the person away like yesterday's garbage. And that's what happens. And then when that happens, that person will come under physical demonic attack.
But it will be a full possession because they already gave their free will up when they took it in to begin with.
Yeah. I've had many cases like that.
Is it really that? I don't know. So this is why I'm asking a very, very naive question. Is it really that transparent? And the reason why I'm asking in that text and that context is, say, school shootings.
Yeah.
The school shootings have gone up tremendously. And as you said, there's a lot of social aspects of these individuals, a lot of them kids, whether it's the bullying, things that have been going on at home that create this scenario. But can there be a puppet master behind that is not going to reveal, hey, the devil, I'm a demon, and here we go, here's the rifle, go do this.
Absolutely.
It's not that way. They're going to be kind of supporting them underneath without them knowing, correct?
Absolutely correct. And so, look, we all have free will. God gave us free will. We're free to make our choices, but there is a center line that we must stay on, because if we veer too far one way or the other, then there will be demons waiting there to either amplify, magnify the problems, aid and abet in bad behavior. And so if it's a kid that's maybe taking in some bad things, and whether that is movies or music, these are all forms of mind programming. Whether the individual knows this or not, it truly is. And the devil is in the details every single time. So I want to share this with you. It's important to know that all humans display 5 different types of electrical patterns or brain waves across the cerebral cortex. That is gamma, concentration; beta, anxiety dominant, active, external attention, relaxed; alpha, very relaxed, passive attention, theta, deeply relaxed, inward focused, and delta, which is sleep. So the devil is a master manipulator, and he knows how to manipulate the frequencies and the vibrations and the brain waves as well with certain types of programming. So if there are openings that have taken place, and I've mentioned some, especially when it comes to trauma, then an anger and a bitterness comes along with that. And if you factor in a bullying aspect or a young person that may be taking in some really bad stuff, whether it's musically or shows or movies or even internet, whatever it may be, now you have a cocktail for the devil to stir and to really turn that person into a killing machine.
Yeah, even socially.
Well, when you think about it, kids, they give out to the free will. I mean, because it's like live and die. That's it. It's just black and white. So
easily influenced.
Yes, and they're perfect targets because they do take that in. And you think about it now, especially with social media, and I think, George, I've said this to you guys before. Everybody wants to be a YouTube star.
Yeah.
So they're going to do what they want. And now you are on that link of, in those kids' minds. And that one way or another, they're going to become something. And that is kind of that niche that's going in because
for the better or the worse.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. And so that perfect targets. And when you're talking spiritual warfare, what's the best way to do it? Let's get to the ones that we can get to, and then they will continue to make that stuff rise. And that's how you start building that so-called demonic army.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. And, when you look at some of these things, I mean, look at TikTok. Now, I've never been on TikTok in my life, and I never will be. But at the same time, there are millions and millions of people that are, and a lot of those are young people, and they do the TikTok challenges and all this kind of stuff.
Yes.
Let's steal a car and let's wreck it into the building, after we steal the car, and all these kinds of things that when people like us look at it, we go, this is absolutely demonic and destructive in every way. But these kids, they're down with it.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it, because we were teens at one time. I mean, nothing could stop us. We were, fearless and everything. We didn't have a lot of the struggles that kids do nowadays because we didn't have all the social media and things coming at us.
No cell phones or anything. Not in my time.
So it was a little harder to tap into that, except what was it, drinking beer in a graveyard, playing with a Ouija board. I mean, that was considered really bad.
Yeah.
But, it just, you're breaking down those barriers. And it's even nowadays, you even see parents, they're just not parents anymore. There's like this gap of everything. And when we're talking isolation, when it comes to demonic, oppression, isolation's that big part. And when you're isolating a parent from their child until things get bad, it's the perfect storm.
It is. And the devil knows it. So he has a playbook, and this stuff comes right out of his playbook. And so the only way that we can combat it is truly by having a real and authentic relationship with our glorious God, the creator of the universe. And so if we can establish that and then establish a consistent pattern in that relationship with him, then we'll be under the blessings of Deuteronomy 28. So if you read Deuteronomy, and I tell people this all the time, if you've never read one Bible verse, go to the Bible and read Deuteronomy 28. And if you are going to make God first and hearken on to his voice, then you will be blessed in all of your ways. That doesn't mean your life's going to be perfect, but I'll guarantee you one thing. It means, and I know I could attest to this as a living witness, that when the challenges come, and yes, I once had a life that was so horrible that I was seeking death. And now I have a life that's so blessed that I wouldn't trade my life for anybody's life on this planet. So I'm a living witness to this. Doesn't mean that I don't have issues and challenges in my life. But the difference is when we are walking in that level of faith, strength, and courage, God will help us to meet the issues and challenges and overcome them. That's the difference. And that is a miraculous difference for me in my life, because when I was back in the fear-based, trauma-based way of being a victim, I expected everything to go wrong and to go bad and to be attacked. And so all the negative things, my mind doesn't work that way anymore. I'm in warrior mode, which I am bold, fierce, and strong. I will never be a victim to anyone or anything ever again. And I could say that by the power of God working through me. So now I am a victor. And that is the difference. And that is the transformation.
I find that at least in my learned experience, just living on this planet for 61 years, is that the individual is the deciding factor more than anything else. I remember all the way back to being a teenager, and there was a lady that I worked with at a fast food store, and she had to be in her 50s, maybe 60s at the time, highly religious, swore like a sailor, absolutely negative, and absolutely angry, constantly angry, short-tempered. Religion did not help the mindset at all.
No.
If your mindset going to be here no matter what, you can look at the religion as a crutch maybe, or as an outlet, but it's not supporting you. It's not supporting you. You're kind of leaning on it. So I give you so much praise, Bill. I give you the mindset of saying, I'm changing. And that's the key part to it. Free will. You decided to change that perspective. So no matter, who gets a hold of the Bible and reads it all the way through, if they look at it as a storybook and not lessons, as they don't take that faith to heart and just think of it as, I can now tell people I've read the Bible, you've lost the message.
You're
and
right.
it's the same thing in the paranormal community when we've come across people. And look, I'll be the first one to confess, I have a TikTok account for this show. And before we did this show, we did a promotion that we're going to have Bill Bean. If I could get 4 or 5 people to listen from TikTok, the millions and millions of subscribers, with somebody to come on and listen to what Bill Bean is saying, what Michelle Roos is saying, I consider it that it's a benefit. Bishop Long also has a TikTok account.
Now, I would agree with that 1,000,000%. There's always a flip side.
Yeah.
But, unfortunately, that flip side, and whether it's Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, whatever.
It's off balance.
There are those out there that are using it for nefarious means and reasons, and, programming young people. But again, you just gave a prime example of the good it can do in promoting something like this. And maybe there's somebody out there listening or watching right now that you reached out to through that promotion on there that may be getting something out of this right now. I certainly hope and pray.
It comes down to, one body, one mind, one heart, one spirit at a time.
And the intent, your intent was a good intent to lead people here to hopefully where they could get a good message, not only be spiritually fed, but spiritually enlightened, and then perhaps empowered as well. So that is all through a good intent through your free will.
Exactly. So that people have at least an outlet, or they have an avenue to go down, even if it's not Bill Bean, who might be so busy that he can't get to you right at that time. But there are a number of people that are out there to reach out to and at least start that journey going from where you are to where you want to be. But it has to involve you. It has to involve you. You can't have somebody else do it for you. That's just not possible. It's just not possible.
But there are people out there, and you touched on this, George. There are people out there that say, I go to church every Sunday and this and that. Why is God doing this to me? Well, you can go to church 24/7, but if you don't have a real and authentic relationship and connection with him, you are wasting your time. And so when a person is the way how you described that one lady, they're on low frequency, low vibration. So they're mad at the world. They're always down. There's always a problem. And the only way that changes is by taking the appropriate steps to raise the frequency and vibration. Then all of a sudden that person could turn out to be a blessing to somebody.
Correct. Yeah, it's all it takes. It really
But
is.
it all
a
comes
turnaround.
down to free will.
But that turnaround is not so easy. It has to come again from the heart or
Yeah.
from an experience. As I said, as paranormal investigators, we see people who go, I don't believe in it until you experience it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You don't believe it until you do.
Yep. Got the next question here for you, Michelle, from Ireland.
Yes, beautiful lady that's asking this. How do you help people raise their vibration? And that's for you, Bill.
Well, for me now, in raising the frequency and vibration, that is entering into a real and authentic relationship with God. And you're either going to choose to do that or you're not. So that's the start of it. And then B, after you've entered into that real and authentic relationship with God, then you can focus on leaving behind the fear-based, trauma-based way of thinking and living, the destructive behavioral patterns, because there is a new way and a better way in faith, strength, and courage. And if you can get to the other side in that faith, strength, and courage aspect, then you will be so far removed from all that garbage, it will be as if it happened to somebody else. And that's how my life is now. I am so far removed from all the terrible things that happened to me in my life. It is like it happened to someone else. So I'm telling you, as a living witness, a walking miracle from God. If he did that for somebody like me, he will do it for you. When God put this calling on my life to become the spiritual warrior, I thought he must have a sense of humor. Because I really had such a low opinion of myself. It was almost like a self-loathing. I thought, how could a person like me be of any help to anyone out there? My way of doing things right for so long was doing things wrong. I was like an outlaw, and I saw myself as that outlaw type of individual. And so for God to suddenly be putting a calling on my life, having lived a life like that for so long, I thought he must be joking. He must really have a sense of humor, because there's no way that I could be a help or a blessing to anybody. But that started to change too. The more that I developed my faith, the more that I started to trust God, and the more that I started to study, and I spent years in serious studies, that's when things started to change. So Hosea 4:6, that scripture says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So we should always thirst for knowledge, because when we are gaining in wisdom and knowledge, we are gaining in confidence as well. So the more wisdom that he was bestowing upon me, that increased my confidence, not only in him, and have faith with him and for him, but in myself as well. And I started to actually, and you mentioned this earlier, Michelle, I had a self-loathing for a long time, but then I started to love myself, and then develop that confidence that, hey, well, wait a minute, maybe I really could be an instrument that he would use and work through to help other people. And once I came to that conclusion, everything changed. And then I was ready to become this spiritual warrior to help people.
And I think a lot of people have that trouble. So I had a question I did want to ask. Sorry, George. I know we have some other questions, but he's been kind of talking on this topic.
Sure.
We have a lot of people that, again, we talk about, I'm very spiritual. I believe in a higher power. They don't say, hey, this is, I believe in God or things like that, but it's a higher power. Or my belief system is I hold on strongly that I know there's something out there protecting me.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're getting the calls because maybe somebody in the family, might have some demonic possession. How do you navigate through that? I mean, do you just stick by what you're believing in, doing your job as what you're doing for the Lord? Or do you kind of mask around what they're doing because they haven't figured out what their higher power is?
Well, I'd never push anything on anybody. So we all have free will. So I can't
Yeah.
say you better believe this way or you're hellbound. I wouldn't say that. What I would say to them is, this is how I believe. This is what I believe to be the truth. Now, you could take that or leave that. That's entirely up to you. But this is how I go about things. And I have helped people and families that were Muslim.
Mhm.
And in one of those cases was in Cairo, Egypt. And one of the family members was completely possessed. They spoke very little English, yet God worked through me to free that girl. And that's been over 10 years now, and they never had another problem. She was set free from it. Recently received a message from one of the family members. It was such a nice, wonderful message. And that was after 10 years. And everything is, praise God, everything is great with them. Another family I helped in France. They did not speak any English. I don't speak French. Yet at the same time, by invoking the power of God over the situation, he freed that family from all evil, and they too are doing great now. So there have been some impossible situations through a language communication barrier and even a religious belief barrier.
Yes.
Yet at the same time, God worked through me to free and help those people.
And I've come across that too. And that's what I was asking, because a lot of people have different faith-based things. And, and a lot of people are like, do you adapt to what they are? I never put down what their faith-based is. And I just stick with mine. But somehow, again, it always works together. Everything comes together as one. And I guess people just have not seen that like correlation of no matter where you're pulling stuff out of, at one point we're just like this, and that's how we win all these spiritual wars. So, and
it is by intent.
Yep.
So if there is intent to do well and to do good and to be selfless and to put yourself on the line for somebody else, strangers you don't even know,
correct,
that is Christ-like. And that is one of the main messages that Yeshua, Jesus the Christ, taught to people, was to be selfless and lay it all on the line. And then there will be blessings that God will be with you and for you no matter what. And it's true, because we see that it's true through case after case and example after example. And so that is I guess that would be the main message to someone out there that, might be critical of others or their belief systems or whatever. We have one God, one creator. Now, interesting to note, the Hebrew word for God is Elohim. That means gods. So Yahweh is the Most High Elohim. That means there's other gods under him. Exodus 20 verse 3 says, you shall have no other gods before me, because there's other gods under him. That's a whole other show for a whole nother time, but there's more to the story.
But there's those levels. Yes.
Story. And so people don't realize this. And so again, when we come together with intent to do good and to be selfless, then he is always with us, and he will have his angels with us as well. And our enemies will become his enemies and their enemies.
And that's one thing we were all given, the power of like angels, and people seem to forget that. If we come as one and we all bring our energy together, we can stop a lot of things. And it doesn't matter where you're coming from, as long as the intent, like you said, we manifest our power to make sure we beat whatever the enemy is. As soon as a lot of people wake up to that, watch out.
Yeah, and I wish everybody would wake up to it. And again, it goes right back to Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. We need to know these things, and we should know these things, and we should always thirst for knowledge, because knowledge is power, and power perceived is power.
Opening your eyes.
Yeah.
Opening your eyes.
Yeah, we can go down a road with that. Knowledge and misinformation and disinformation that's going on, and where people are accessing things, and it fits my thought process, so we'll stick with this one. And it's just a really scary road.
But again, the devil is in the details, and it's all divide and conquer.
Amen. Question from Jonathan Michelle.
Bill, what signs are there for a possible demonic entity?
Well, on my site, and I'm going to try and be very quick. I know we're sort of getting close to the
you were clicking
signs
something.
from my very own website here. Yeah, I'm going to click these on real quick, so I want to make sure I'm reading them so I don't miss any. Well, number one, high level of trauma that leads to experiencing demonic events and attacks. 2, playing with a Ouija board or invoking or inviting spirits to come in. And even in my own family case, that's how it all started. Over 100 years ago, there were 2 family members that actually conjured up demonic forces, and that's where it all started. Step 3, or warning sign 3, fascination with the occult and or dark ways. 4, deep depression, withdrawing from family and friends. 5, sudden fits of rage, hatred, anger, evil thoughts, hearing voices, seeing manifestations, having evil dreams, listening to satanic music, suddenly developing superhuman strength, becoming physically abusive and having no memory of harming others, wanting to sleep all the time, abusing drugs and or alcohol, wanting to keep the home and room very dark. I've been into some homes where some of the rooms were painted black. Cruelty to animals, feeling cursed, and wanting nothing to do with Yahweh God or Yahshua Jesus. So that's just 15. There's a lot more, but those are 15 of the indicators that, thank you, George, that I have up on my site.
There is one last question. Well, not a question, it's a statement, but it I don't know why, but it disturbs me. It troubles me. And I wanted you to address this. We've got some promotional stuff I definitely want to get to before we end the show. We got about 10 minutes left, but I want to bring this up. Michelle, if you will.
Sometimes desperation and giving up because you don't feel anyone, including God, cares about their suffering can make any person believe nothing matters. I've been eyeballing that since it's come up in the comments. It is heart-wrenching.
It is. And what I could say to that person is you have to, and the only way that you can break out from that way of thinking is to start visualizing a better way. There is something better for you. There is a new chapter and a new season. So in each person's life, we all have chapters and seasons and a journey. So as I stated earlier in this interview, that I could not be where I'm at right now and helping others had I not been there to suffer. It was all part of my journey. So we all have a journey for the better and sometimes the worst. But when we're in the worst of times, my strong suggestion to you would be reach out to God again, get on your knees, submit before him, and tell him that you want to make him first. Ask him to help you with whatever the problem is. Repent for anything that you've ever done that you thought that was not pleasing to him, and ask him to help you to start this brand new chapter and brand new season in your life. Now, if you feel that you need human assistance, then you can reach out to me, BillJBean.com. You can email me directly from the site, and then I'll get back to you as quickly as I can, and I'll do anything and everything that I can by the power of God working through me to help you.
There you go, guys. And that's, again, it's a very important part of it is it starts with you wanting and willing to make those changes and be able to open up your eyes, your ears, and your heart to what's possible out there. You've got some interesting things upcoming. Well, first, let's get back around to the book, your newest book that's out there right now, Rise Above It. Kind of give everybody a little insight to what they should expect.
Well, we've pretty much covered a lot of the content during this interview. The book is about overcoming. It is about how God, certainly in my life, and I've seen it in others as well, that he's worked through me to help, making the impossible possible. I have some very powerful prayers in there that if you read the book, I want you to say them every day because it's invoking the power of God over your life. It is about a mindset change. It is about I have a chapter on spiritual warfare. The book starts off with my own personal experiences and my struggles and my attacks and the destruction of my family. And I was nearly destroyed as well. It starts there and then it carries on. And one of my favorite parts of the book, I'm trying to remember what chapter that is, maybe chapter 6. It is called Success Stories. And I have several people that are sharing their testimonies about how God saved them from the very worst of things. And whether that was spiritual attack or cancers, whatever it may be, these are miraculous stories of how God helped these people to overcome just life-threatening things and spiritual attacks and all these things, heart attacks. So it is one of my favorite chapters in the book because it is giving a powerful testament of faith as to how God helped those people to overcome impossible situations.
Oh, can we get an autograph book?
Of course. Absolutely.
How would he do that?
I'll get it in the mail to you this week.
Look at that. That's Ron, ERT Radio. All right.
Oh,
That's
Ron, I thought it was you, George. Yeah, Ron, if you go to my site, it was George. I have it, and I can get it to you this week, Ron, as well. Go to my website, BillJBean.com, and there's a button that you can click on that says if you want to get a personally signed copy from me, you can. So there's 2 buttons on the site. One is an Amazon button. You can order directly from Amazon, or the second button would be if you want a personally signed copy from me, and I will get it out to you this week. So the copies come in, I try to get them out as quick as I can, and I do have some to get out this week.
Okay, and I want to know about this that's coming up also.
Yeah, that's on Sunday.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I wish you could be there. That's on Sunday, November 20th at the Bijou Theater in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Now, we had one last year, and the first one was last year, and it went very, very well. It was a packed house. And at the end of that, and I think I still have that on my website. If you go to my website, you can see the replay of that event. And I was the last one to speak, and God compelled me, he just put it on me that I needed to pray over that audience. And that was the last thing that I did. I prayed over the audience, binding and rebuking anything E-word negative that might be in, on, or around them or in the room. People reporting seeing what they believe to be shadow-esque demonic figures in the room. So I actually performed a semblance of a deliverance over everybody. And after it was over with, people lined up at the table because they wanted to get one of my books or a picture, or wanted me to sign something or whatever. But many of those people said that when I was praying over the audience, that they had a physical effect, that they could feel something being removed and taken from them. So that was a very powerful moment, George, and it ended, the whole works there, but it went great. Praise God for putting that on me to do so. And I'm thankful by my free will that I had the courage in front of all those people to say, look, this is what needs to be done. And we did it, and it was very powerful, and it was a blessing for many. So I'm looking forward to the second one here on Sunday, October 20th. It's going to be an all-day event. It's going to be a long day. I think the last one was about 4.5 hours, but this one's going to be double that. And Jason McLeod is the event host and organizer, and he's brought in some additional people to speak, and that's why it's going to go a little longer this year. But it's going to be a great event. It's going to be very powerful, and more than likely we'll end it again in a similar fashion with me praying over everybody again.
Incredible. Yeah. Believe me, if I could go out anywhere, I would, but I'm kind of homebound for the time being, taking care of my dad. But I'll certainly be there in spirit. And
Thank you, brother. You can also see it. There's a live stream, I believe, that he's offering as well. So for people that can't attend the event, there will be a way to see it live, a live stream. So I don't know if that's Jason's putting that out through the event website. I'm not sure how that's working, but he is going to have that for people to where they can have the live stream.
Tell you what I'll do. I'm going to get a hold of Jason, and if you can get me that link, then when we have the show next week, I'll put the link up for everybody to check out.
Fantastic. Thank you, George.
You're awesome, guys. Before we go, I just want to give you guys a heads up for this week on Dead Air. We got Cody and Satori on their, I think it's their third episode coming up this Thursday at 8 p.m. Make sure you guys check it when they're off, because they do it every other week. Don't forget to check out, again, we have Aaron and Carrie joining us on Thursday, every other Thursday, from Cody and Satori. And check out some of the new Extremely Strangers with Ken DaCosta. Should be back from his vacation tonight. He may already be home right now, probably sleeping. So we are thankful that we had Michelle join us tonight. Fantastic. We may have to just replace Ken altogether and just keep you here. But you do a show also, Michelle, do you not?
I do. It's called See You in the Dark, and it's actually kind of tapping into a lot of things more on the darker side, stuff people don't want to talk about because they don't think it's politically correct. So we talk about like the paranormal. We talk about, the truths of angels and demons and different things. And that's on Tuesday nights.
That's awesome. And you guys, what time is that on Tuesday?
It's actually at 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Those of you in the chat who are part of our Patreon account, we'll see you tomorrow night at Town Hall. Bill, Michelle, stay with me. Don't hang up just yet. But Bill, you can take us off now. Thank you guys so much for watching us. We'll see you next week. Ken DaCosta returns. Until then, you've been watching Dead Air Live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. Have a great night.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination